Fab. So welcome. Let me find the slides. Sam's put together some slides, she says confidently. Find those. There we go. Fab. So really, Sam approached me about running this session a little while ago, and various things happened. And then, dates didn't work and all that sort of thing.
It was yeah, it was about a year ago, wasn't it? We just haven't got around to rearranging it, have we?
Yeah. So delighted to be able to have Sam here and running this session for us. Yeah, Sam's going to share with us loads of different ideas for sustainable school fundraising, why that's important, why it's the value of PTAs as well on a sort of whole, I guess, sort of societal sustainability journey as well. So, Sam, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, yes, I'm Sam. I am kind of co-founder of EcoEthics, which is an online support, mainly Facebook, but online, with different resources and support that we offer. A bit like Jen does here with Sustainableish. We are in the county of Essex, but obviously we support people outside of Essex as well. But that is our main kind of area. So the reason I'm here today is because we actually started an education group a couple of years ago as well on Facebook, and we found there was another education group as well. We thought, this is silly. Well, we all want the same thing. Let's join our two Facebook groups together. And the other Facebook group was also in Essex as well. So we put them together to reach bigger, wider people working in schools. And then we realised that actually nationally, teachers were saying there wasn't a Facebook group out there for teachers or for schools. The only one specifically was the eco schools, but if your school didn't run the eco school curriculum, it wasn't relevant. So we took the name Essex out of it, and we've just got a Facebook group it's called Eco Education. So that is kind of my, I suppose, one of the reasons I'm here is that we try and support teachers and those working in schools. And I kind of soon realised that schools are one of these places that are hubs for communities. So, we talk about doing things ourselves to make a difference with our carbon footprint. But actually, if we can look at the snowball effect, we can have such a bigger impact. So, just 2, 3, 4 people making a difference with a school event, making that more sustainable, could have an impact and an influence and inspire and educate not only the pupils, but their families, and then the community, the wider community that come and visit the school for its events and its fundraising. So that's kind of, I feel really passionate about schools and anything that can make a really big impact. So yes, that's why I'm here. I'm just keen to kind of spread the word as far as we can out of Essex, all nationally, and to as many of you as possible, really.
Amazing. Thank you, Sam. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Jen. I run Sustainableish, which is an online platform with a focus really on imperfect eco action. When I'm sharing slides, because I'm so inept, I can't find links and all those sorts of things. But we will, when we send out the recording, we'll send the links there for Sam's Facebook group, for the EcoEthics. Have you got a website, Sam?
Yes.
Send you for the website, and there's also a couple of resource documents that we will send out to you with the recording. So I'll put all those kind of links and stuff in there for you. If anybody is looking up stuff on the interweb as we're talking, please do pop any useful links into the chat. That would be absolutely amazing. So I'm based in Wiltshire, in the southwest. I've got 2 boys who are now in secondary school. But I was I was the sort of one of the gullible ones who got roped into the PTA at school, got roped into the nursery school. It was sold to me as the PTA, but it never is. It's much more full-on role, I think, with the nursery schools and things. But then got roped in and was chair of our PTA, our school PTA, for several years. So I understand how difficult it can be sometimes, even as if you're the chair of the PTA and you're the one who's sort of wanting with a particular sort of sustainability agenda or things, it can still feel, I certainly felt uncomfortable sort of pushing my personal agenda onto a PTA that was already established and with, a series of events that had been established for many years and all those sorts of things. So it can feel quite difficult to be the person just going, oh, can we not do glow sticks? And oh, could we maybe think about something else? And you're sort of always thinking, oh God, they're going, oh, here she goes again. And there's all that eye rolling and that sort of thing. So some of you might be much braver than me and much more sort of forthright in your like, this is what we're going to do. But for those of you who find confrontation difficult, as like me, hopefully some of these ideas that Sam's going to share with you are sort of fun, engaging stuff that schools will want to get involved with anyway, and alongside that they are a more environmentally version of doing that. So I think we've got a little agenda here. Sam, do you want to run us through the agenda?
Yes, so yeah, just briefly, really just tell you what we're going to go through. So briefly I'm going to just give you a little 2 minutes to think about something about your own school sustainability. Then we're going to go through I've got a checklist which I'm going to email out to you all, but because it isn't the most interesting thing to visually show you on camera, it's a bit of overload with regarding the webinar. I'm just going to go through it and then we will send it out to you afterwards. We're going to talk about actions, as in what are you going to take away from today? What will you actually go away and do after today? Because there's no point in having all the lovely knowledge if we don't actually take action and do anything with it. And then we will send out, obviously, any checklists and resources to you, like Jen said.
Amazing. Sam and I were talking before we sort of let everybody in, and we were just saying what would be really great and hopefully what would be really beneficial as well is as Sam's kind of going through these ideas and that she has for sort of these different events and stuff that you can run. If you've done that already, if you've done that event, can you, any of your experiences, your feedback, your thoughts that you can share with the rest of the group would be super, super helpful, because we can then sort of, have this real collaborative approach from it and learn from each other as we're going along and say, like, oh, we tried this and actually this happened that meant it was really hard, or this actually worked really well, or we tweaked it a little bit like this. So I think that would be great, and hopefully mean that everybody gets as much out of this as they possibly can. What was the other thing I was going to say as well?
Yeah, to use the chat box. So write anything in the chat, and if you've got any thoughts or questions, and then Jen can keep an eye on that and interrupt me as and when it's appropriate, and we can, if you've got things to share, then please do, definitely.
So share any thoughts, any experiences in the chat, share any questions in the chat. I will feed them through to Sam, and I'm sure we'll probably hopefully try and have time at the end for questions as well. I don't know if this is useful or interesting. Maybe just to kick us off, share in the chat, what are the barriers that you have at the moment with your PTA in trying to sort of get some more sustainable events off the ground? What are some of the difficulties that you're encountering? Kids love
the plastic cat. Yes.
And kind of the reason we're not going to be able to like wave a magic wand and take all these barriers away and solve them for you, but hopefully there's a kind of sense of solidarity in that, like, oh God, I'm not the only one struggling with this. And we can again maybe use that sort of collaboration and things to come up with different solutions and things. So cost is coming up.
Do you know what I find it always interesting, because there's such this thought about being sustainable has to cost more, and I really hope by the end of the day that when we ask you this a little bit at the end, hopefully you'll see that actually there's loads of ways to make money in a more sustainable way. So I really hope that I can help you reach that goal.
And I guess as well, the other thing that I was always really aware of when I was chairing our PTA was like, what is the purpose of our PTA? Are we literally here as a fundraising body for the school, or do we want to be able to provide activities for the children above and beyond those that will be fundraising? So putting on film nights and the disco and all these things that might not have necessarily been particularly big money spinners, but that we felt were kind of enriching the experience that the children were having at school. And I guess to a certain extent getting clear about what the purposes of your PTA is it purely a fundraising body, or does it have this sort of dual purpose in terms of enriching the experience that the children are having whilst they're at the school? And I guess to a certain extent, really, if we have a sort of sustainability agenda, almost working with or helping to shape the ethos of the school and the values, and supporting that if they have a sustainability sort of agenda as well. So cost coming up, finding recyclable cups for tea, children like plastic tat, cost of prizes, needing to make a profit. Yeah, hard-pressed volunteers, that's always really hard, isn't it? And this is with everything, whether people are volunteering or not. I think with sustainability, everybody's feeling under pressure in their work roles, in their home lives, you know, and then we come along and go, oh, by the way, can you think about being a bit more sustainable? And people are like, what? Oh my God, this feels really hard. So I think anything we can do where we can make this as easy as possible for people and make the more sustainable route the more convenient one, easier to do what we've always done. Yeah, we were sort of on a bit of a treadmill of like, these are the events that we run, and this is how we do it, and it can feel quite hard to try and change that, can't it? So cost, yeah, people more reluctant. Time poor. Amazon is a simple and quick solution for people. We were talking yesterday in my community about like bloody dress up days, and you know, they seem really fun, and obviously the kids really love it, but there's an awful lot of pressure on time poor parents, and the easiest thing is just to whiz onto Amazon, isn't it? People don't fully understand why and how to change. Lack of time to source alternatives. Yeah, Amazon is too convenient. Lack of time to research and just fall back on the nice, easy solutions, the tried and tested things. Lack of understanding about what it means to be sustainable. Melanie's got a school uniform exchange, which is amazing. Quick and easy to order from Amazon to keep the workload down, convincing everybody it's worth it. School believing that recycling plastic means it's being eco. So yeah, moving that conversation beyond recycling can feel a little bit challenging. Legacy from previous committees, focus on PR. So we've lost the community feel. Interesting. We make a big thing of trying to go into school once a term and run an in-school craft activity. Everything requires stuff, yeah, and anything bright and shiny the kids love, don't they? Fabulous. Thank you for sharing those, guys. That's brilliant.
I made a note of them, and I'm hoping by the end we can at least tick off a couple of them as we've found some solutions for a couple of things. Okay, right. So my first question to you guys is, think about your PTA as almost an extension of the school. So a lot of schools, not all schools, but a lot of schools are trying to do, you know, have school councils. Some of them have eco councils. Some of them may be following, like, even if it's just loosely an eco kind of a curriculum on the side, like the eco schools curriculum, where they have about 10 different topics that they try to cover within the school. And they might do that through assemblies or after school clubs or however they do it. But lots of schools have these things, and they might have their own sustainability values or initiatives going on. And I guess my first question to you is, do you know if your school has any sustainability values or initiatives? And if they do you know what they are? Because the thought is, with the PTA, my concern is that if a school is trying to be more eco-friendly, so for example, the children are working hard in their school council to reduce plastic waste, for example, and the children are working hard towards these goals, but then the PTA completely separately from that are running events which are selling the plastic tat, is that isn't conducive what the school's aims are. So it's looking at thinking about, what are the school's sustainability values? Do they even have any? So that's my first question to you. Do you guys know of the school doing any work around sustainability, any environmental actions it's taking, any initiatives, or any curriculums? And if so,
I'm adoring this from Claire. So it sounds like the school did a survey with the children on presumably I'm putting words into your mouth, Claire, but maybe something around attitudes to sustainability or desire for the school to be more sustainable. 88% of the children want to be more sustainable. Like that's so great to be able to then take that to your PTA, and then it's not you being the pain in the bum kind of greenie over there. That's like, this is what the children want. This is important to the children. We are here to support the children. So I find that with primary school children, like, they are really easy to get on board with this. I think secondary school feels a slightly more challenging, but I think primary school children are quite easy to get on board with this. So if you can get some kind of quantitative data that says the kids really want this, the kids are really on board with this, take that to the school, to the PTA. I think that's hugely
it's a really
powerful,
good idea. Isn't it?
So Rachel's school have an eco council. They asked the PTA to sign the eco pledge too, but this has got lost. Oh, maybe you could revisit then Rachel. Maybe see if some kids from the eco council want to come and present, feel brave enough to come and present to the PTA about, you know, why this is important to them. That could be really impactful. And I think changing student councils can aid the process of change. Okay. Oh, engaging student councils. Yeah. So as I said, the kids are usually pretty on board with it. So I always say though as well with kids, you know, that positive pester power, that we teach them something at school and then they go home and talk to their parents. So if we can employ that positive pester power with our other PTA members, that might be potentially very helpful as well.
Wow, that's interesting, Fran. Fran said our school doesn't have a general waste collection, which is, I've never heard of that before. Only food and recycling, so we have to take all rubbish home. Wow, that's a great incentive. Yeah, as you said, to reduce it.
I
That's
think
amazing.
that's probably illegal, Fran, because you shouldn't be transporting waste unless you're a licensed waste person. So that seems really
Good,
bad.
though. It's a good incentive, isn't it?
So Sarah, school doesn't have any eco goals at the moment, been promising an eco committee for 15 months, but no staff member wants to take it on. Okay, and so that's where then if you're the green person in the PTA, then you know whether they're then looking to you to sort of step up to run this, but obviously we've all got time constraints and all those sorts of things as well. Fab. Awesome. So this is, I'm loving all
I've
this.
just seen a key bit of information. I know we won't be able to sit here and read them all, the messages, but the bit here that says, Dawn, you said the school think that recycling ticks all the boxes. Absolutely. Look, Jen's put the waste hierarchy together. I use it all the time. Just show them the waste hierarchy from Jen and show them the recycling's, the second from worst thing that can be done. Okay, shall I start? And then we'll on the chat. So what I'm going to do is actually, if you go to one more slide for Jen, thank you. So first I'm going to do, so this is an example of what I'm going to go through today, and this is a table that I'm going to send out to you. So it's going to be quite practical, but probably a bit boring for me just to go through, show you visually today. But I'm going to just show you, so at home you can show your PTA, or you can print it out, or just email others if you want to. Because I realise that with PTAs, there's a few key questions which always come up when I've talked about this: is do I need storage for that thing? And then is there going to be upfront costs for that activity? And what is the potential profit, and how easy is it? So I thought, I know, I'm going to make this table really easy, and it's going to have all that information in it as just tick boxes. So you can look at it and kind of go, no, we need storage for that one. We can't do any of those ones. Rule them ones out. This one we can do. So that's how it's going to be presented to you when you get it emailed out to you, all right? Just a bit like this, in this kind of table format. But I'm going to go through them today. And as we said, please do put in the chat if you've tried any of these and they've worked, or if they haven't, tell me why, because then I can, make the table, I can progress the ideas and share it differently. So that's what we're going to do. So we don't need the PowerPoint for now.
Yeah, should I stop sharing?
I just need to get my own document up for me. Okay, so I'm going to go through the different ideas one by one. What I'm going to do is, the first one I was going to talk about is the ink bin, and we are lucky enough to have Becky here, because I can see her waving at me, and Becky runs the ink bin. So rather than me talking about it, I might as well just let Becky do a great job at explaining it herself. Hi Becky, do you want to tell us?
Hi everyone. Thanks for having me here, Sam and Jen as well. So I'm Becky Baines. I run an eco fundraising business called the Ink Bin. So a bit about myself. I've been a teacher since 2005. Worked with 0 up to age 18 in a range of different types of settings. And in 2019, so 4.5 years ago, I finally made the brave decision to leave teaching, because I couldn't do it anymore. Lots of you who are either teachers yourselves or no teachers, it just wasn't for me anymore. But I've combined two passions, which was teaching and young people and climate change, and I set up an eco fundraising business called the Ink Bin. I also work really closely with local government at the moment, run a climate strategy for one local government, and I work very closely with Essex County Council on their Net Zero Innovation Network. So know a fair bit about climate change. I have run my business through some government funding to prove that I believe I'm the most environmentally ethical company in the UK doing what I do. So very, very proud of what I do. And final thing on the eco side of it, before I tell you about the scheme, is I very much I'm always going to be a teacher. That's who I am through and through. So when I set up the Ink Bin, I also wanted to support teachers across the whole UK and internationally. I have international emails thanking me for my stuff. I set up, and on my website there are free resources for teachers to run an eco club on a weekly basis. They used to go out live every Friday, but unfortunately workload means I can't do that anymore. But if you head to my website, there is a tab called Eco Kids, And then under that tab, there is one called newsletters. And there is well over a year's worth of weekly things for teachers to put on an interactive whiteboard as talking points, and lots of lesson resources. If a teacher is a bit of a rabbit in the headlights with climate change or environment or sustainability, but wants to run an eco club, I hope there's enough there for a teacher to run a year's worth of eco clubs. And I'm hoping there is on there, but if it's not on there, anyone can email me and get it. There is very easy guidance as an introduction assembly, age appropriate introduction to what climate change is for young people, and also some guidance on how a teacher can set up an eco club in the first instance. So that's the educational side of things. But the ink bin itself, we collect in home use empty ink cartridges from families, school, teachers, anyone, and they come through to us, and we return them to what's called, some of you may know the phrase, circular economy, which is more than recycling. So when they come through to us, the most environmentally ethical thing to do is to keep things in use. So the ones that come through to us that can be refilled, remanufactured, they are all refilled, remanufactured. As I say, one of the things that makes me the most environmentally ethical in the country is that I ensure every single last ink cartridge that comes through is either remanufactured or recycled, but also I will only work in the UK. I will only work locally. Also, just to bore you, the other good thing about us environmentally is we collect en masse. So I get an average of 182 ink cartridges through in one collection, which means not having to send plastic envelopes across to France from someone like HP Instant Ink. So that's the boring stuff as to why I'm so passionate about my business, but it's very easy to set up. So you will, if you would like one, you can get literally an ink bin. They're all completely printed, personalised with school logos, or they can have children's artwork on. Unfortunately, it was a very sad day when I had to make the tough business decision to charge for those. They are £35, and that is at a loss for me, but you know, small businesses, we have to make difficult decisions. Saying that, there are two options if you don't have any funds for that. Number one is you don't have to have an ink bin in the first place. I really don't mind. I'm a teacher. I'm used to sticky back plastic. No, I shouldn't say that. The wrong word to say, you know what I mean. I'm used to all of that. What I would do for people, if somebody doesn't want an ink bin, if you email me your school's logo, I will make you some posters up, designs that you can stick on the front of any box in the school foyer. One of the things I've done for a local business in a local school in Braintree, they've gone to a local business who's actually sponsored the ink bin. I do this quite regularly. So rather than buying an ink bin through my website, you can actually go to this was a electric vehicle company, so it was absolutely perfect, right up my street. But hairdressers in the past I've had post offices, various different businesses have paid for the ink bin, and then we've put their logo on there as an incentive. So there is no need to buy it, but then after that, absolutely everything is free. So just as long as you've got enough ink cartridges, come straight onto the website, you fill in a little very simple form, which gives me all your details. I then generate a courier label, courier comes to you and collects it and comes back through to me. And then once I've sorted it all out, I send you all the relevant paperwork, all the legal bits that I need to send as a, Jen said, as a waste carrier, but also your stuff, your bookkeeping, and I will then bank transfer the funds into the school's bank account as well. Final thing I will say on this, and I say this to people whether they come to me in a fundraising capacity or in an eco capacity, it always works better as a project if you promote it as an eco initiative. Children get far more involved and they have that incentive. They want to bring something in. We all know children are so passionate about recycling and about climate change. So yeah, I can do anything to help you with that as well. And one more thing I forgot to say is you can actually put those external to the school. So they are far more successful if you manage to get them into the foyer of a local supermarket or a local library, something like that, because then you get wider community collection. If you do that, there's one piece of paperwork you will need to get, because if you are collecting, and this might come up and Sam might mention it later, but if you are collecting what's called waste from inside your school community, you do not need a waste carrier's license. If you're collecting any form of waste, as Jen had mentioned, from the wider community, you will need a waste carrier's license. However, they're totally and utterly free on the government website if you've got a charity number. Really easy, takes about 3 minutes to apply for one. And then that allows you to collect externally, and you will make more money, but also obviously save more from landfill. The website is theinkbin.co.uk, and I will be the one answering anything that comes through.
Yeah, I've just popped those links in the chat. Fran says average, so like that, if we get the ink bin from you, how many cartridges can you fit in there?
The ink bins are actually really big, because I want them to be visible when people walk into the school foyer, and if they're too small, they're going to get knocked over as well. So the ink bins are actually quite big, so don't wait until it's full up.
Okay.
If you've got, and you never send the ink bin back. In true reuse style, you find an old cardboard box, a Walker's crisp packet, shove it all in there. As long as you've got a decent sized box, then they can come back. And it's how long is a piece of string? Because some of the I call ink cartridges the good, the bad, and the ugly. We've got the ones that are of high value, the ones that can be remanufactured, so it's eco, but they haven't got any value, and then the cheap rubbish that we buy from Asia, the really cheap stuff, which I shred at our business costs. So I never know. As soon as I open up a box and get my inky hands, I never know whether it might make a school £20 or £100.
Okay.
But I'll say the more effort, more advertising you pop into it, then obviously the more cartridges and the more value there.
And I think the other thing with projects like this is that they're a very visible, especially if you've got something up in the foyer that people can see, it's a very visible sign. Like it's, as much as we might say we need to go beyond recycling, but if a school has recycling bins and it has projects like this that it's supporting, it's a very visible sign that this is something that's important to this school, that it's trying to do. So above and beyond the money it might
about as well, things that we're trying to be easy. So we talked about, but it's hard to get volunteers for PTA. It's hard to find people to find time to do these things, whereas this is actually, once it's there in the foyer, you haven't really got to do anything other than remind people staring at us.
Well, and it's let's face it, it's always the kids who bring them in, isn't it? They're like, oh, don't throw that in the bin, I'm taking that to school. The other thing I really like about this as a project is that it's not asking parents for money. I'm a mum, I don't have a lot of spare cash, and it's really stressful when schools have to keep asking for money for various things, or even cake bakes or anything. For me as a mum, I'm really busy, so this is something I really love from a mum's point of view, that I'm not saying, bring in £3 or do that as well. So that's the other extra thing I really do like about it.
Lovely, thank you. Has anybody got any questions for Becky? Only because she might have to go off and put the kids to bed.
Yes, I will do. Rachel's got a box
for her. Ask her now.
But please don't be put off by the cost of the £35. You either don't need an ink bin, or it's local businesses love.
I love that idea of getting a local business to sponsor it. I think that's a great idea. Rachel's got one that's open to the whole village. Amazing.
We have them everywhere in Essex, because Becky's from Essex, and they're in
they're in all the libraries.
It's amazing. And in my local shops, they're everywhere.
It's just it's so easy, and I keep it really easy. I always say it's my job to get the inky hands rather than yours. So a lot of companies will make you list every individual cartridge out and won't accept an awful lot of them, whereas I just say shove them in a box and send them to me. I know in cartridges, you guys shouldn't have to know all the different makes and models and things.
So Chloe says, are they in all Essex libraries?
Yes, every Essex libraries. And toner cartridges, at the moment I don't do toner cartridges because they're completely different. If the odd one does come through to me, it just slightly cripples the business because they're so big and cumbersome. But if anybody does accidentally send them, I always send them off for recycling. I am looking at doing toners. I've got a project in the background to see if I can make it feasible. But I will say, on the website, there was a full list of guidance. It's a nightmare for offices. I get school offices emailing me all the time saying, what do we do with them? And I won't bore you with all the regulations and things, but legally, the original company should be taking them back. But is a big long list of guidance and website links and things. I think it's in the more box at the end of websites, you know, when you sort of run out of room. But there's a big long list of guidance, and hopefully one day I'll be able to do toners.
So Helen says, can you explain what can go in the bin? So presumably any
home use, so anything in a home that comes out of a home use printer, or if schools have got the really little ones still.
The schools printers you
ago
couldn't put the cartridges in.
Not the big office ones, no. But there is guidance, but unfortunately it's a lot more complex. It's a lot more complex doing toners, but hopefully one day soon. I'm working on it, but there is certainly lots of free advice, and please do send the office to there, because it's actually illegal to throw a toner cartridge in the bin as well.
Wow.
Okay, fabulous. I'm super aware of time, Sam, and that you've got a big long list to get through as well. So
I do. At least the list is going to be emailed out to everybody. So if I don't get through, I will whiz through ones that aren't as good for ideas. Okay, thank you, Becky.
I'll answer the last few questions in the chat.
Yeah, that would be super helpful.
Okay,
thank you.
Lovely, thank you. Right, okay. I'm going to go through some other ideas, and again, do use the chat. So the first one I'm going to talk about is probably something you've all either got already or have at least heard of, and that is a second-hand school uniform shop. Show of hands in the chat box would be great. So those of you who have got one, if you haven't got one at your school, I'd love to know the barrier of why not. Because for me, this is just common sense. Not only because not everybody can afford brand new school clothing, especially the ones that have the logos and all things like that. They cost a lot of money, so it is really helpful to parents. But also, I mean, you have so much. I read the other day that in a child's lifetime they get something like 55 school jumpers or something, and I couldn't believe it, and how quickly children grow. So I would love to know how you're already using your school uniform shops, because there are lots of ways. You've got the big senior schools that might have a dedicated shop, and you might have a pre-love section within it. You've got my old school used to have a pop-up stall out the front once a term. Or the other suggestion I have, so when we talk about time short parents and those that can't physically get there to help out, one of the suggestions I have, which was probably a good idea, came to me during COVID, was a Facebook group. So a Facebook group dedicated to school. Well, let's start with it as a school uniform shop Facebook group, but that can be extended with the ideas I've got following this. You can upload all the pictures of whatever school uniform you have to get rid of. But rather than you making the 50p for the polo shirt, within that Facebook group could be a dedicated bank detail or PayPal address to the PTA, and all donations for that piece of clothing are just sent to the PTA. There is no technically carbon footprint in travel, because if you're travelling to the school going anyway to pick your child up from school, you can hand over the school uniform there and then. And for me, it feels like quite an easy win. No shop, nobody standing at a stall selling it. It's just on a Facebook. Loads of mums that are really busy are actually really social media savvy, so may be able to help with the monitoring of a Facebook group with 5 minutes here and there. So when it comes to trying to get PTA volunteers, if you can sell it to somebody who's like, have you got 5 minutes a day, or have you got 10 minutes a week to monitor a group or whatever, there are different ways that people can help out other than physically being present at an event. So I would love to know what you're doing. Let me have a quick chat. No real take up. Hang on, I've got to read the chat. What's this? No take up second hand. That
we found the difficulty that we had was that finding somebody to store, like storage is the big thing. I think finding someone to store it. And we had people that were very willing to donate, but maybe we didn't make it convenient enough for them to buy it back again, or when it's just like, it's the summer holidays crap, like I need this, like what can I do? And so I think that I've just posted a link to Uniformly, which is a sort of website that helps to facilitate this, or having, as you say, some kind of Facebook group or something might help that. But I think if you can have, somebody posted earlier about they've just got a permanent rail up outside if you've got space somewhere where you've got space for it. Or I kept trying to get our PTA to say, like, look, why don't we say last Friday of every month we will be here, so that people know, rather than having to sort of guess when you might have managed to get a few people together to put it up, and it's always going to be there at the back to school events, and it's always going to be there at the summer fair and all that sort of thing. But I think having some sort of regular thing where people know that it's going to be there makes it much easier for people to then sort of plan around that, doesn't it?
I mean, it looks like there is a few people in the chat saying there's more supply than there is a demand, and I wonder why that is. Are people embarrassed to buy secondhand? Like, you know, I'd love to know.
I genuinely think, I'd be interested to see what other people think. I genuinely just think it's convenience. It's like the kids need, and I'm busy, and if I go to Tesco's, I know that they're going to have that size that I need, and whereas I don't know if the secondhand uniform service is going to have that, and I can't, you know, I haven't got time to email somebody or to go into school, and I think it is I'd be interested again to hear other people's thoughts, but I think it's a convenience thing personally.
But yeah, I like what you're saying about having it as a regular thing, so everybody knows that it's there every whatever. But the storage is a problem, which is, if storage is a real problem, and the uptake of volunteers to do that once a month, whatever, the Facebook group could be another option to consider. So we'd love to know how you guys are doing it. We do a pop-up shop at least once a term. I'm going to come back to the Christmas jumpers and book day things. That was next on my list, actually. Okay, so yeah, so that's one idea, and so following on from that, which we'll whiz through because you guys have already suggested it, this idea can be extended to obviously World Book Day. I've seen it. I've seen people buying the costume for one day and then they don't know what to do with this costume after World Book Day. You know, planning ahead to Halloween, planning ahead to the Christmas jumper day, all those kind of things, and having secondhand options. And the same kind of thing, again, yes, you could have a pop-up event. You could have the rail outside, a stall outside. You could have this Facebook group dedicated to school fundraising, for example. You could have it on there, you know, a month before the Christmas jumper day, a month before, right? You know, who's getting rid of secondhand jumpers and things. And you know, if you think there is a thing about it being secondhand, you know, call it pre-loved, call it vintage, whatever you want to call it, just so people sign up to the idea and think it's cool. We need to make people think it's cool to buy secondhand. Is for me anyway. Oh, has anyone tried a PT Vinted account? No, tell us about that, Izzy. That sounds interesting.
I was just saying as well, if you have got more supply than there is demand for, one of the things that I always sort of wanted to get going and never got around to it was you can make like rag wreaths really easily by just like having strips of like jumpers, t-shirts, especially like the kids' summer dresses. Those summer dresses work really well, and then make like Christmas wreaths from it. And so I made one for our head teacher when she left, and she said she loved it. But I think it would be like a really great, like, you know, lots of PTAs do like wreath making workshops as a fundraiser, don't they? So doing that, but using the rag wreaths might be a really nice thing. Or you know, getting a band of parents to make a couple each over a glass of wine for an evening and then selling them as a fundraiser. It's a way of getting that school uniform sort of out of storage as well.
On that subject, a couple of other things I've seen as well is actually, you know, like the gingham school dresses, like you say, if they're really tatty and they can't be sold on or whatever, yeah, she said cutting them up, but also to make a bunting out of them, because then at your events, you know, at the school fates, and you need decoration, then you have the reusable decoration that's already you know, school colours, school, you know, material and stuff. So yeah, and also the other suggestion I have seen is people make little teddies. Or
I've seen them. They're gorgeous. Yeah,
so like
little rosettes. I think you can make little rosettes and things. Yeah,
so, like these little teddies that have like the school uniform dress for the children's first day at school, a little memorabilia thing. But it's like reusing the old tatty material that can't be sold on if people aren't going to buy the dresses and stuff. So yeah, loads of little ways to use the material. I love the idea of the wreaths and the decorations. It's lovely. Okay, yeah, so that's my idea around all the Christmas jumpers. Again, do write in the chat if you've tried the Christmas jumpers now. I think somebody said they didn't get an uptake, but then I do know other schools that have had a good uptake on it. So it'd be interesting to know what the general consensus is on that, and whether anyone has done it around fancy dress and the World Book Day as well. Again, if storage is a problem, look at other ways you can do that, whether you just get donations a week before for World Book Day or Christmas jumper day, or as I say, the Facebook group. So think about your storage option available at school. Okay, so one thing here, I have not tried this or seen it, so I'm going to ask you guys whether any of you have tried or seen a virtual balloon release. So obviously back in the day when it was considered acceptable to release hundreds of balloons to the sky, you know, there'd be this competition of whose balloon could get the furthest, which is an absolutely terrible idea now for the environment, as we know. But there are online virtual balloon releases. They're almost like, it's like a game. And I believe there is a sign-up fee. So this one does involve an upfront cost for the PTA. And I've written here, when I last researched, it was approximately £20. But don't quote me on it, because I've not researched every single balloon virtual balloon race company. But so there is an upfront cost, but then obviously you would make whatever it is, £1 per entry, for example. So if every child from school entered it, it's significant funds. I would like to say it doesn't sound that time consuming of organising it. Again, I haven't done it myself, so if anyone has done it or got experience, would love to know from you. The next one I'm going to talk about is something I'm quite passionate about, because I actually have one of these, which is a reusable party kit. So PTAs can invest in a reusable party kit themselves. It does involve an upfront cost. It might cost between, say, £50 and £100 to get whatever you might need for it, depending on what you want. And then you hire it out. So typical for like 30 plates, for example, 30 bowls, 30 cups, might be £10 to £15 for every hire out. Obviously, kids have, especially the younger kids, like key stage 1, key stage 2 age, a lot of kids have parties. So you can imagine a class of 30 with a very young, most of those kids will have a party with at least some of their school friends. So there's potential for a lot of hiring out of this potential service. If the PTA doesn't have storage, doesn't have anyone to coordinate that, doesn't have upfront costs, then my next suggestion would be linking with your school's nearest reusable party kit hire. And if you go on a website, which I will send out to you, partykitnetwork.org, I'm going to copy and paste it.
I've just popped that link into the chat. Yeah.
Same job. You can find out where the nearest kit is to you and your school. If it was me, I would just link with them, because I guarantee you that person running that party kit hire does not make lots of money. They're doing it for the passion rather than making money. If they can build links with you and the local school, they will be really grateful. And then you could get a percentage. So for me, for example, when I've got my kit, the idea that I want to do is link with those schools. They have their own little code, and anyone that books with me would say the school name, so I know what code it is, and I would donate, say, 10% to that school PTA. That's quite easy. All the school's really got to do is promote it. So again, it's looking at time. You've all said to me, a lot of you said time is short for your volunteers, and upfront costs is difficult, and storage is difficult. So that is looking at how you can kind of build links and have affiliate links. And you can do that with other things. You can do that with loads of your local eco refill store. Anything, a business that you feel aligned to, that is a really sustainable, ethical brand near you, supporting local small traders that don't make lots of money. Every pound to those small traders makes a difference to their living. And you can ask them, can we link with you somehow? We need to raise funds. We want to promote your business. Can we find a way of working together? So that actually your school newsletters could be promoting them. Or when you have school fetes, you invite the businesses that you want to be there, the ethical ones, to come to your school, when you work together for the greater good. And you look at ways of, if we promote you, newsletter, if we support you, can we get a small percentage, for example. So really building those links with people and thinking outside the box of what could work with those traders.
I've just Anna's just popped a link in the chat. She beat me to it. The Party Kit Network have got a competition on at the moment to where you can win a party kit for your school. So the link is on there. If your school doesn't already have a party kit and is interested in doing one, there's a competition running at the moment. It's run in memory of an amazing woman called Claire Sumner, who was a real plastic-free campaigner, sadly died from cancer last year, I think. So it's in support of a really good cause, and you could get a free party kit for your school.
Amazing.
So check that out.
Yeah, thank you for adding that. Has anybody got any questions about any of those, the ideas? Has anyone got those links with local traders? Is anyone doing that? Where they support local traders and get a small percentage or anything, or anyone using a party kit?
Got lots of party kits in the chat, which is amazing.
I haven't caught up on the chat.
So Sam's there, they've got a parent who organises it with 2 kits, a pastel one and a bright swan. Some of them also have, which I think is a genius idea, like a reusable pass the parcel kit. So it's like little fabric bags of like a tiny one and then a bigger one and a bigger one and a bigger one. And so, oh my God, can you imagine saving you the time, like the night before the party, wrapping up the blooming pass the parcel thing and all the paper and stuff that it saves. So yeah, and you know, the thing is, if you get a party kit or something like that, and you can get in early with one of the, like, you know, reception classes or year one classes with the September birthdays, then everybody sees it and everybody's like, oh, that's a really good idea. Can we have a go at that? Yeah, I would say, Georgie, again, you either need some space at school to store it or a willing volunteer, but they do pack up into, you know, relatively tidily into a couple of
one plastic box.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, large plastic box, one storage.
Yes, Claire's saying number cake tins would also be great. Tilly, who runs the nearest party kit to me in Frome, she started doing that, the silicon numbers for cake tins. She started hiring them out, which I think is a great idea, isn't it? Amazing.
Excellent.
So May's got a party kit, but it rarely gets booked out, even though you advertise it. Anyone got any tips for May about how to
showcasing it? So offering it out for free or something, getting people you know to, like, say, can you have it for your party? We need some photos. So that's what I've done locally. I did it for friends first of all, and just said, just give me a couple of quid for the kids' pocket money, because I needed to promote it and I needed to have visuals of it in people's rooms. So you almost need to make it the norm. So you need a few people to do it, but other people to see it, and for them to go, oh, it is okay, it is normal, this is becoming the new trend. So I would maybe do a competition to see, like,
when people, you know, if you have got friends who are using it, if you've got something like a flyer that with it, or like a flyer with a QR code on it, so people can just scan the QR code and then get all the information about how to access the kit. Helen's got a great idea of offering it as a prize, as a summer fete or in raffles, do an assembly on it and put information in the newsletter the same week. That's a great idea, because if you can sell it to the kids and get them excited about it. Yes, and Lindsay said sell the idea to the kids so the kids ask for it.
Yeah, absolutely. But Lindsay,
Izzy, I've seen people do it in two different ways with regards to the washing. Some people say, you know, I will wash it for you, but it's an extra tenner. And other people will say, no, you need to wash it before you return it back to me. And it's, I guess it's up to you how much washing you want to do at home.
Yeah, and if there's a volunteer who wants to wash it, I mean, I absolutely hate washing up, and I've got a small kitchen, so the idea of washing up for me is absolute hell. So I will charge extra for it. One thing I will say about the party kit as well is, if you link with your local one, invite them to any fetes. So again, you want them visible, you want them there all the time, so that people coming to school fetes see it all the time and it becomes the norm. You don't want it to be like a one-off, oh, this is weird, what's this reusable party kit? You want it to be like, there's the reusable party kit business again. So it becomes the norm in their vision all the time. Okay, hopefully that's answered most things there. So I hope that's inspired you to link with your local party kit. It is a lot more hassle to do it yourself, so just link with the people already doing it. Like Lindsay said, rather than taking their business, if there's one around the corner to your school, just link with them, go, hey, let's help each other out. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about a few random ideas. Now, don't think I'm too weird, but I've tried these and they've worked. Okay. So a couple of years ago, just before COVID, EcoEssex had a little HQ, we called it. We just managed to get a free building for a grant, and we run different random events, and we didn't make money from it. We weren't allowed to make money from it, but I know they work in regards to the kids liking them. Now, the first one I did was just cardboard box fun. Now, this is really strange, and you might think I'm crazy, but you know that idea that you buy kids 100 toys and all they want is a cardboard box? It is really, really true. Young children love boxes. They love making dens with boxes, towers, robots, anything. And I just basically filled this room with boxes and blankets and crayons, and I think there might have been glue. Some of them made upcycling crafty things. My kids do this all the time, out of egg boxes and all random things. And then the other half of the kids were on the floor with blankets making dens and tunnels, and they flipping loved it. So if you have volunteers that would love to run an after school club for an hour, get everyone to bring their cardboard boxes that week, preferably the bigger the better as well for the ones that like it. And all the kids bring a blanket, pay a quid, and just have some fun. And it's all free, imaginative play. There's no guidance. You haven't got to do, you know, you must do this, you must do that. You will need adults to supervise, because kids might go a bit chaotic with cardboard boxes. The risk assessment of throwing them in the air or something, but nothing too crazy. So it's kind of easy after school fun. I don't know what anyone thinks of that, but I promise you I've done it, and they loved it. Anybody got any thoughts on that? I'd love to know if anyone thinks I'm completely crazy.
Georgie says her school are great with junk modelling with the early years. Always being asked to bring in clean recycling for school-led activities.
Oh, good.
Our school used to hook up with, we've got a scrap store in the county, and they always used to hook up with the scrap store, and they would come and do sort of activities and things.
But junk modelling is great because, again, you can use the boxes, but yeah, you can bring in all the old plastic bottles, the egg boxes.
I'm always slightly wary with junk modelling, though, that potentially you're taking something recyclable, like a nice clean plastic a cardboard box, or a nice clean recyclable plastic bottle, and then it's being covered in sellotape and glitter and glue.
Oh no, see, I don't use glitter. See, what I use is just water-based PVA glue, which technically, from my knowledge, from my council will say that can still be recycled because that just comes off in the process. And I would definitely not use glitter. I wouldn't use glitter. Though I must admit, I'm the same with you, Jen. I would look at making sure that thing can still be recycled at the end of its life. Reuse it and then recycle it. So yeah, I understand what you're saying there. But junk modelling are great, another great after school club activity, and lots of fun and great for their imagination as well, and free play. Paper tape is great. Yeah, it does cost more money though, that's the only problem. But yes, it does. My council say that sellotape comes off in the recycling process, so I have to trust that is true. But okay, baking, I'm guessing probably most of you have done the traditional baking cake sales. So I'm sure that's not really telling you anything new there.
With that, if you do that, because we did that, and we got into quite a nice routine of doing it once every half term and having a different class being responsible for it each half term. So it was different parents each half term. But if you're doing that, when you're saying don't forget it's the bake sale next week, please bring your reusable Tupperware things to put your cake in. And that's just a little gentle bit of messaging. And yes, we will have paper bags here available, but please do remember your reusable Tupperware. And it's just that little just gentle bit of messaging around reuse, and taking your own stuff with you can be really helpful, I think.
Definitely. I'm wondering, does anyone that does the cake sales, do they ever offer hot drinks at those kind of things as well? Because that's another thing you could say is like, bring your reusable coffee cup and you get, I don't know, 10p off your drink, that kind of thing. So encouraging people to bring their own coffee cup whilst making, a bit of money as well. Be interesting to know if anyone's done that. You had anything about allergies?
Yeah, I think I guess it depends how big your school is and how many kids you've got with allergies there. You could ask whoever's, when people are baking. I think most schools are peanut free anyway, aren't they? So no nuts. But just, can everybody provide a list of ingredients as to what's gone into each cake? And I think that's Natasha's law. Yeah, I don't know. I think you can get really. As the person who the buck stops with as the head teacher, I can absolutely understand why they might want to be really belts and braces on it. But I don't know if anyone else has issues with that.
Fran said about 10% people took them up on the whole bring their own cups. But, that's 10%. Maybe last year would be none. So bringing your own cups and then you bring your own bags is becoming more normal, isn't it? So if you did it again next year or the next event, and then, each year goes by, I would imagine those percentages would increase as it becomes more normal.
And with the reusable cups, it's not quite so commonplace, but some places do have a reusable cup scheme locally. So Bristol's just started one, Shrewsbury's got one, and if you know that there is one locally to you, you might be able to borrow some reusable cups off them, so that you've got them. People pay a deposit for the £1 for the cup, and then the idea is that they put it back and they get their £1 back. If anyone's been to a cricket match or anything where they do that with the pint things, the kids love running around at the end of the thing and collecting all the cups and getting all the pounds. So that might be quite a good popular one with the kids as well. Will we get a chance to gather ideas on alternatives to plastic tat as prizes? I would think that might be a really useful way to spend the last few minutes. So
I have got a couple more examples to give now, and then I will show you the other checklist briefly of what you can use, and then we can definitely talk about and we can brainstorm other ideas as well. So just quickly to finish off, a couple of other recycling. So I have had schools do textile recycling. All I will say is just research where the textile recycling is going and what it's doing, because Jen will know, she talks about it in her book. Textile recycling is one of those things. I do feel it's a bit of a greenwashing issue. It's not always being ethically recycled. It can be just shipped to somewhere else and not ethically disposed of. So just that's more of a warning, really. Just look that up. The other thing is, have you guys heard of TerraCycling? So we're not here to tell you recycling is great, but it is an option. TerraCycling is a similar type of scheme of what Becky was talking about earlier with the ink bin. It's a way of recycling things that are not traditionally recycled, and schools can earn money. So you can do this with loads and loads of different schemes. They have hundreds of different schemes. And it started with crisp, one of the most popular ones was crisp packets, and it's evolved to lots and lots of things. I do know schools that do it, and they do make money, but it's not huge money, and it does involve spending quite a bit of time packing the boxes very, very perfectly. Like crisp packets would have to be folded in a certain way, and very precisely, and so it will take a little bit of effort, but I do know schools that do it and do rely on that as a bit of extra fundraising, and they can involve the kids. Again, it's about asking kids to bring in whatever it is, biscuit wrappers, crisp packets, whatever it is, toothpastes, tubes, whatever it is that the school decided to do. I won't go into it loads, but the TerraCycling website will tell you, and there are lots of schools that are already doing it. So do ask when we give out our resources. Obviously, you can join our groups if you're not on them already, and ask about it, and ask about how to do it, for example. I'm just reading the chat quickly. Oh, we've got £500 a year. That's quite a lot, Sarah. That's amazing. That's actually higher than I expected, actually. Interested to know how you manage that with volunteers. The school I know that does do it actually gets the kids to do it as part of their eco council activities. So they do part of the collecting the packets and folding them and stuff like that. So that takes away the need for the adult volunteers to do it. Okay, the only other thing I thought about, I have got the idea of an allotment here, and I know some of the senior schools, for example, have a bit more space, for example, older kids that could be a bit more independent. They could have an allotment. They could even try and sell some of the produce, but it does take quite a lot of work. I've had an allotment, and I have realised it's quite a lot of hard work, and it is seasonal as well, so something to think about. But again, can be done by the children, a part of the eco school, or even part of their curriculum, for example, if it's incorporated. The other idea I've got is, if any of you have been to or seen repair cafes, so these might be in your local community. These are great, and I went to one recently, took various things to be repaired. Now, if you again can build these links, a lot of these repair cafes are just people doing it voluntarily. They might be ex-engineers, or have the skills, for example, to help repair electrical goods or metal goods, for example, and they offer their time for free, and often it's just done by donation to help fund various bits of equipment they might need, for example. My thought is to link with your local repair cafe and have something as an event at your school, and ask for some of that donation money to be part of the PTA. So a lot of this, what we're saying, is about building links with people locally to you and seeing how you can support great causes in a way that supports them and supports you. Right, that is it from me on that particular thing. Any questions? I've tried to whiz through those last few.
I think the big one is ideas for replacements for plastic tap as prizes, or that sort of thing. So yeah, please share in the chat if people have got ideas. So
Jen, if you just put up the PowerPoint for me for the next slide, that would be helpful. So I'm going to send out you a second document, which is like basically almost like a score table for a fete or a fair that you're going to do. So for example, it's a checklist. So the idea around this is, again, is try to make it easy for your PTAs. So there's a list of different things that if you were to run a fete or a fair, all the things you could do to be more sustainable. And the idea is you kind of, I've got 40 points on there, and you can tick the ones that you've done for this event, and then maybe you can aim towards the next event. I'm going to try and do a little bit more. We're going to try and get 5 more points next time on the event. So you can really kind of, I suppose, score as a formal way, really. Just see how you're progressing with your PTA's event sustainability. So that's the second document I'm going to send out to you, okay, which looks a bit like this. It's a bit of a tick sheet guide. Okay, thank you, Jen. You can take that off. So I will send that out to you. Regarding prizes, I mean, some of the things that I feel quite passionate about are that, like you said, kids love plastic tap. Kids just love stuff. They're just obsessed with stuff. So part of me, you know, I have to compromise with my kids, which is fine. If you want stuff, I don't want them to have stuff, but if they do, let's go to the charity shop and here's a quid and buy some stuff. But I know in 6 months' time, a year's time, I'll probably just take it back to the charity shop. So one of my first suggestions is to not think about everything having to be new. If you have to sell stuff, why does it have to be new stuff? Kids just like general stuff, especially the younger ones. The younger ones don't really care if it's new or old, or don't even know if it's old or new. So that would be my first thought as well. And then looking at what stalls you have at events. So if you have a fete, like as I said, looking at who you want there, who have you got the affiliated links with, who would you like to connect with, you know, have your reusable party kit there, have your local refill shop there, for example, have people there selling I don't know, bee bombs, plants. What kind of things do you want people to be supporting? You know, what do you want to, who do you want to be building those links with? What kind of prizes do you want there? And, you know, so for me, secondhand is one of the options. What are you guys thinking?
There's some lovely ideas in the chat. So I really like this idea, Rachel, saying of, you know, when the kids go on the, I don't know, coconut stall or whatever, they get a token, and once you've got 5 tokens, you can go to the stall and exchange that for a secondhand book or a donated teddy or that kind of thing. I think that's a really, really lovely one.
Yeah.
Anna's also suggested that they might win like privileges, like being able to have a treat for a snack one day or 5 minutes more playtime, and obviously you need to get the teachers on board with that one. Vouchers for a free turn on the bouncy castle or something like that. I think that's a great idea. Go down.
Experience rather than stuff.
Having sweets as prizes, obviously, and we used to do that, but you know, you have got the plastic packaging and things, but the
only thing about sweets is if you got things like some of the chocolate, like a foil. I love tin foil. I'm obsessed by recycling aluminium because it's just it just recycles for an infinity. So I never feel too bad about that in the same way I do with plastic. So I think, you know, you can have chocolate wrapped in foil and then have somewhere they can chuck the foil, and there's, you know, they can collect all the foil and then recycled.
And Rachel's got a nice idea as well with the kids getting a stamp card, collecting stamps, and then once they've got 5, they get a prize that was something to get them active, so a kite or a skipping rope or something like that. Nice. So yeah, these are fabulous ideas.
Or like books, but look at their type of books. So like, you know, there's so many environmental kids books now as well. They're so inspiring for children. So looking at having some of the better prizes, you know, spending a little bit more on them, but as you say, like getting the tokens, you need X tokens to get a good prize. Or just looking for secondhand ones. You know, I've always got books to get rid of that I'm trying to.
Well, I think if you ask people, you know, for donations of books or teddies or toys or that sort of thing, and then you know, people can come and pick, and it hasn't actually cost you anything. You haven't even had to go to Baker Ross or Amazon or whatever have you and get your things. And in terms of I know there's a couple of questions about fireworks, but just before we come to that, one really popular thing that we did was have a give and take event. So the kids for the week beforehand bought in, you know, had a sort out of toys and books and bought them all in, and then one afternoon we laid it all out in the school hall and opened it up. We didn't actually charge anything, but we could easily have charged £1 a head, and then, you know, there was 180 kids at the school, that's 200 quid, and the kids were their minds were blown by the fact that they could just come and take something. They thought that was absolutely phenomenal. Obviously you need a plan for what you're going to do with the leftover stuff afterwards, but that's just such a nice easy way, and the parents were really grateful to be able to get some crap out of their houses, I think. So you could do that in the run up to either in the run up to, or I guess after Christmas, if people are having a clear out. But yeah, quite a couple of questions asking about fireworks, food at fireworks. I've seen quite a few things on Facebook and things, people asking about, like, at fireworks, the glow sticks, because we used to do that at the disco, and they were such a really easy fundraiser, but they just used to make me, and I just in the end went, can we not do this? And everyone went, yeah, okay, and we just didn't do it, and the kids didn't miss it. But yeah, it's hard, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah, one of the suggestions that someone's come up with as well, Georgie said here, is looking at different kind of torches. So looking at reusable torches, you know, torches just with reusable batteries can go, or wind up. My kids have got wind up torches as well, which are quite fun because the kids get to like physically be active in doing it. So if you're going to sell plastic, if you're going to sell tap, almost make it a reusable tap they can be used, for example. Glow in the dark face paint. I don't know how eco those stuff are. I did a quick Google search and it says eco glow in the dark paint. I don't know, but it's probably a better option than the glow sticks, to be honest. The other thing I did think about was obviously Fireworks Night is about being dark and looking at ways to have fun in the dark. And I thought about having, like shadow puppets. So you have like a white sheet or something, and then you have a bright light behind it, and then almost you can do like shadow displays behind it. And I thought the kids might find that really fun, like in the dark with a light shining on them, they can entertain their friends and family behind the white sheet doing some shadow animals or puppets. Like just thinking outside the box a bit. So it's like we talked about earlier, doing an experience for fun rather than it being stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
And, the other thing, remembering right at the beginning, we were saying about, 88% of the kids want to be more sustainable. Do an assembly with the kids, say, guys, what are we going to do about this? These glow sticks I know they're really fun, but they're really awful for the environment because they're single use and they've got all these chemicals in them. And look at all, last year we sold 200 of them. Look how many that is. What do you guys think we should do instead? And get some ownership and some thoughts from them, because they might go, do you know what, we're not that fussed about it, and then that's fine, isn't it? But if getting some ideas from them gets the buy-in from them, and therefore then they explain to their parents what's happening and why, that might be quite a useful way to approach it.
Involving them in the decision making. It makes sense, doesn't it? And this is where I think it's the PTA, it's linking with that school, like I said right at the beginning, like what are the school's sustainability initiatives? What are their goals? And actually linking with them and going, okay, we didn't realise you were trying not to use plastic in school. We're actually selling plastic at the, with glow sticks, working together with the school council and the kids, eco council, for example. I think that is everything really from me. I guess what I wanted to finish on, just to make sure I have remembered everything, Jen, I think on the last point of my slide was really just to look at an action from you today and looking at some of the things we've talked about or what you've learned from each other in the chat, and thinking about what one thing perhaps will you go away and try within your PTA. So if you can also have a think about one thing you might do, but also how you might have these conversations with the rest of your PTA team, because I know it can be very difficult when you might think, you don't like the glow sticks, but you're worried about what the rest of the team might say and how am I going to bring this up, and I've come to this event today and I've learned all this, but how am I going to approach this? So those are my kind of two questions for you now, just to have a moment to think about and share with us. What will you take away? What action will you take? What's that one thing do you think you might go away and try? But how are you going to kind of move forward with educating the rest of your PTA team and the wider people?
Fran's saying they've got PTA ambassadors of kids coming into the PTA as the sort of kids ambassadors, which I really like, because you can we're supposed to be putting on these events for the kids and to benefit the kids, and that's just like, we think they would like to do this, and actually to get them putting their input in as to what they like. Fabienne's going to have a look at the ink bin and check the school policy. Fireworks committee separate to PTA and raise money, raise the most money by far of all events. I believe they sell loads of plastic tat. Yeah, it is really difficult, isn't it? Actually, the event that we ran that raised our most money historically when I was on the PTA was an auction of promises. Absolutely no stuff needs to change hands. So asking, we never got round to doing it as an in-person event, but you could very easily do it as an in-person event. And so you get people around the school from the school community to donate. It could, people had like little holiday homes that they would do weekends from, or somebody can do a painting lesson, or a horse ride, can let someone come and ride their pony, if you're all these sorts of things. And there were some amazing things, and we just did it all as a silent auction. People just put in their bids in writing. It was a couple of evenings work to sort of go through all the bids and everything like that, but that worked really, really well. And I think maybe we decided doing it every other year to try, and because otherwise it becomes a bit, you're just asking the whole time every year. But that can be that was in the thousands of pounds that we raised with that one, so definitely worthwhile doing.
Amazing. I like going on from that, what you just said. I just saw in the chat there, one of the actions was to move away from stuff but looking more towards experiences. So that suggestion you just come up with there, Jen, might be a really good one. So just looking at some of your actions. God, you guys are so engaging in the chat, I can't keep up.
Just going to meet the Eco Council teacher, see what you can do working together. I'm going to be taking copious notes from tonight. Lindsay, feel free to drop me an email, or anyone else who wants to, about the auction of promises. I will try and remember what we did. I seem to remember it involving a lot of spreadsheets, but it's basically asking for promises of services or things from your local school community. Lots of your parents will be running their own businesses, those sorts of things, and then having a list, and then people could email us in with their bids, that sort of thing. In terms of promises people made, I might have a list somewhere. Like if it was me, I'd be like, I mean, people might not vote for it, but like, does anybody want a copy of my book? You will find people who, so there was somebody did a painting lesson, we had parents at the school who he's a documentary maker, but also a really good cameraman. He did a family photo shoot. What else did we have?
It's whatever skills those parents have got.
Yeah,
right?
There was like, one of them was a hairdresser, so there were a couple of hairdressing sessions and all sorts of different things. And the one that went down really well actually was the school saying you can get front row priority seats to the nativity play and to the end of year play. That one went down an absolute storm. They absolutely loved that you could just have your reserved seats at the front of the nativity play, rock up 2 minutes before, know you're going to have good seats. That worked really, really well. So things letting your child ring the bell at the beginning of the day to get everybody to line up, that one seemed to go down quite well as well. So there might be there's some nice fun ones that the school can provide as well. Yes,
loads of ideas in the chat, so lots of people coming up with actions they're going to do. Yeah, fantastic. I hope that's been useful today. And hope you've all taken something away from it. This has been recorded, so we can share this out as well. So this can go for your email. So if it's easy, you want to just share the video and the resources to people, then you can as well, if that's going to help get other people on board. And really, I think the only thing to say now is just obviously, Jen, I think on my last slide, just remember that I've got everything on there. If you obviously want more support or you want suggestions, obviously Jen's got her Sustainableish group as well. If you want support, to join that one. And the education group I was telling you about for teachers or volunteers is the Eco Education Facebook group as well. And yeah, your action. So we will send out the email to you as soon as we can with all the resources on it, today's video and the checklists. And yeah, really your action is to talk to your PTA and make plans. Yeah, I think that's it for me. Is there anything else anybody would like to add or ask us?
Rachel's put some ideas in for the auction promises. Yeah, an hour of ironing, cleaning, grass cutting, car washing, all those sorts of things. Yeah,
yes,
somebody did. One of their kids wanted to donate a promise, and they did they would bring you round like a continental breakfast or something. So their kid, like, bless them, went out and got like orange juice and croissants and all this, and then like went round to somebody's house in the morning with breakfast, in bed, in quotation marks for them. Rachel, is there anywhere that you can actually recycle the compostable biodegradable coffee cups? Unfortunately, Rachel, I think they're quite greenwashy. So
your own at home, but then if you're not allowed to
even then, that most of them are designed to be composted in industrial composting facilities, and our home compost heaps just don't reach the right temperatures. So we had it wasn't a school organized event, but the village were organizing an event, and everyone was like, oh look, isn't it amazing with the PIMS, we've got these, and I was like, the problem is, if you put them in your recycling stream, you're cocking up your recycling stream. And unless you're getting somebody from, what's the company, Vegware or whatever, to come and, collect these and take them to the one facility in the country that that composts them, it's very, very difficult. So they are, unfortunately, I think, quite greenwashy. You would be probably better getting a set of reusable cups that you can then just bring out for all of your events.
And then you don't have to buy them once they're invested in. You've got to buy them each year.
Because you can get, like I said, at the cricket matches and stuff, you can get like pint glasses that are branded. So you could get them branded and relatively cheaply. So you could do a fundraiser specifically to buy a set of, reusable pint glasses or whatever. Get everybody to pay a £1 deposit for them when they come and get their PIMS or their beer or their mulled wine or whatever it might be, and they get their £1 when they can be, but if they can be bothered to bring it back. If they can't, and they get left, the kids scurry around afterwards and some extra pocket money. Lindsay's saying mugs from a coffee shop. I think absolutely great idea. You could have if you've got space, again, like a mug amnesty where people just bring in their excessive mugs, and you have a box that you can bring out for every single event. So Rachel thinks she possibly saw Costa having a collection point in their own shops, but I guess they might not be that happy with you rocking up with your whole box of them after your event.
Izzy's asked for a question about, we're talking about party kits. What do people use for food and drink services at a large scale at fairs, etc. I would say for drinks, it's rather than selling like single-use plastic like squash, I would have jugs of squash, for example, and again encourage the children to bring their own cups and they can get a discount, or reusable cups that they bring back to the store rather than selling single-use. Having water refills, so there's no like plastic bottles of water, for example, stuff like that. And again, same with the coffee, like we just said, just having the reusable cups available rather than single-use.
Yeah. Fabienne asked for mugs for their mug library and got 250 in 3 days. So I think people will be quite willing to get rid of their mugs for you. Amazing. Loving all the interactions in the chat, and over time we've been donated 100 wine glasses and 100 cups to reuse at bigger events. So yeah, you'd be amazed what you can get if you ask, and what people are really very pleased to get out of their house, aren't they? One thing that's just occurred to me, that another thing on that sort of like the give and take thing, like I know we talked about Christmas jumpers, but doing a clothes swish or a clothes swap, that can be a really nice evening. If you get all the mums, come have a free glass of wine. You might even be able to get somebody doing nails or whatever on the side, or certainly somebody running some kind of repair or whatever thing going on. You could get the kids involved with some kind of upcycled fashion competition. All those kinds of things I think can work really, really nicely as well. Anything that's a nice social, like bingo, I think feels like a really nice, easy social event. And as long as you don't go and buy the proper bingo stamper pens and just get people to bring their own pens, then that's a relatively low impact.
Right, with the kids, I went to bingo not too long ago and it was a Disney themed bingo. It was fabulous, like music one. What movie did it come?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was a really nice little family activity, actually.
Yeah. Amazing. I'm aware we've gone well over time, so thank you guys for sticking with us. I hope that's fired you up with ideas. I think that the fireworks thing and the glow sticks, I think I don't have a nice neat solution for anybody, and I think that probably is a bit of an ongoing conversation, and I think if you can rope the kids in and tell them why these things are bad and why we might want to be looking for alternatives, then they might surprise you by just going, yeah, okay, that's fine.
Even like those little head torches, those head torches are actually quite practical as well.
Run around blinding each other with them.
Yeah. They've got like flashing LED functions, so you can reuse them over and over again, but they're still like flashing light fun, for example.
Yeah. My favorite way always to finish a Zoom is to ask people for 3 words for how they're feeling at the end of the session. So if you can do that, if you can pop into the chat 3 words for how you're feeling at the end of this session. As I said, Sam said, we'll send out the recording. It may well be tomorrow afternoon or after or over the weekend. We'll send out the recording, we'll send out the resources that Sam's got, and links to, I'll try and sort of harvest some links from the chat that we can put in there for you as well as the links to Sam's Facebook group, and if you want to come and join the Sustainableish community as well. Amazing. I'm loving all these. Really good job. Positive, inspired, creative, hopeful, inspired, creative, motivated, enthusiastic and ready, hopeful for changes, encouraged, inspired and ready. If nothing else, take some hope from the fact that we had 130 people sign up for this call, so it is not just you in your PTA banging this drum and trying to make a difference. There were 130 people signed up to come on this call, and who will be getting access to the replay, so you are not on your own. Please, I think if you take away one thing, please take that away. Anything from you, Sam, to finish up?
No, thank you so much. I'm overwhelmed by how many people have registered today, which gives me hope, because I know that you guys want to make a difference. And like I said right at the beginning, it's not just about what we're doing as individuals, it's the impact that we can have, that ripple effect on the whole school and their families and the wider community. So thank you all for coming and caring about it, really. So
Thank you so much for your time, guys, and all your interactions. And we may well see bump into some of you on social media. So thank you for all your ideas as well, and we will catch up with you very soon. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.